All right, all right. Hey guys. So we're going to get into this. And this is a specific message. Now, these are the ones that this is a little different than my usuals because typically I do a specific message if something at weird random pops into my head, right? However, the inspiration for this particular specific message is more close to home in the sense that I had like very, very vivid dreams that I remembered early this morning. Now I knew what my dreams meant. And it was wonderful. And I almost never have good dreams. So it was just really nice for me. But that, this is today is a full moon. And I feel like because the moon is associated with the subconscious and what is brought up within the subconscious. Hi everybody, so great to see you. Rosie, you angel, thank you, love. Lulu, Brittany, Ginger, Deep Blue Night Thoughts, so wonderful to see you. Eliana, hi babe. So this is not going to be anything to do with my own life. This is not, I know what my dream meant and it was like great and it was wonderful, but it made me think, because I've been chewing on it all day in the back of my mind, because it's really rare for me to get dreams that I can even remember. And it's even more rare for me to get a good dream. So that was lovely. And I thought, I wonder if that's connected to the full moon. So this is a specific message, but because that lingered so much, the idea of somebody having a dream. Now, granted, I'm one of those who had a dream, but it's so bizarre because I had a good dream, but what was in my head is somebody who had a meaningful dream. I'm not going to say it was good. And I don't know why that just kind of stayed somewhere like in the outskirts of my mind. So all I can say is that was the inspiration for this. It is separate from me. And, this isn't about anybody that I know. This is all fictional, but this full moon might be bringing up dreams. And so I feel like we need to tell a story about somebody who has dreams. I don't know what the dreams are going to be like yet, if it's going to be good, negative, thought-provoking, whatever. But let's say meaningful regardless. So we have candles to start this out. Okay, so we are setting this the like nighttime scape, right? Because you only really need candles in the dark or to set a mood, right? You use candles to bring light into the darkness, but oftentimes candlelight is considered to be soothing, soft. It can be romantic, depending on, if we're going like Edgar Allan Poe route. Of course, it could be kind of like a gothic tale as well. But we definitely have the nighttime. And I feel like we have shedding some light into the darkness. So if somebody is having meaningful dreams, it could begin with, by the way, we only read this deck in the upright, but we've got the mushrooms. It could begin with one thought needs to be illuminated. So something in somebody's subconscious has been growing, and it could be that, in the dream state, there's going to be some illumination like, oh, that's the thing that I've been needing to still take care of, or that's the thing. So mushrooms, here's a great thing about mushrooms. Yes, they are fungus, the humongous fungus among us. But the mushrooms can grow on literally not very nice surfaces, right? A pile of shat. And it can spawn nice, wonderful mushrooms. So out of something that could seem unpleasant, we could have something really beautiful blossoming. And I feel like if someone's got a dreamscape where something's trying to tap in, it's almost like, our dreams knock on the doorway of our, from our subconscious mind to our conscious mind, being like, hey, I needed to tell you this. And now that you're asleep, I can let you know. This is kind of like the way the subconscious raps on the door and says, there's this thing that's been in your mind. It's time to shed some light on it. So get some good sleep tonight during this full moon and let the awesomeness show up. So this looks like it's a positive thing, but it is something that's been growing. I only say positive because I happen to like mushrooms. I think they're quite delicious and they have wonderful properties to them that have been started to be studied more heavily. So we have the element of water. Okay, so it's definitely an emotion that is trying to be conveyed. Now, this could be the emotion of love. This could just be emotions in general. Maybe somebody has suppressed emotions for a long time, and those emotions have been growing. And during possibly sleepy time, I'm wondering if somebody's going to have this almost feels like not something that like someone is waiting to have happen or has already happened, but rather something, that is upcoming. So we could have a character going to have some pretty nice dreams. Now, maybe they like to eat mushrooms. Maybe they do like gothic this or that. Somebody could have like I personally think that skeletons are really beautiful, but as an artist first, I liked painting and drawing skeletal structures and anatomy because it was going to help me to become a better, portrait painter. So to me, I found a lot of beauty in, skeletal structures. It's, the human body, any of our species, whether it's humans or animals or whatever, it's all pretty amazing to me. So I find this really beautiful. So when I say this, I don't want it to sound so macabre because it all depends on what lens you look at it as. But somebody could decorate like with a skull, an animal skull, something like that. They may have that in their home, and it could be, none of this gives like a dark and dank and scary vibe. It almost feels like somebody may find beauty in getting to the bare bones of something. They may decorate, like I said, somewhere in their home with something like that, but it's for a positive vibe. And maybe it is because this character already knows to be connected to their subconscious, to get down to the bone level of what's going on with them. They, I think, are open to the subconscious communicating to them. So I'm wondering if we have a character that is like, I already know there's some stuff in the way back recesses of my mind. This could even be a character who says, I like to keep a dream journal beside me. I like to write down. Sometimes I don't remember specifics, but I remember emotions and I can write those things down. The best dream I've ever had in my life was music. And I've only had it happen now twice in my whole life. And it was music that didn't exist. It was my own music. And it was the most fabulous thing I have ever had in a dream happen before. I like so vividly remember. And we have sigils. So definitely we're talking about symbols, right? Power symbols. We have somebody who's like got a sealed wax document. This could be somebody is realizing that they've been seeing little signs and symbols around them that are indicating, and again, this could come first through the dreamscape, but they're connecting their subconscious mind to something in their day-to-day life, which is like, oh my God, I've been getting little signs and symbols all over the place. In fact, I even got somebody's wrong, whatever, mail addressed to me, and I didn't open it because it's not got my name on it. But what's weird is it had, like the name of somebody that I know. It wasn't their full name, but their first name was the same name of the person that was in my mind. It could be like this really weird twist of, like the subconscious is connecting to the day-to-day life. And I just feel like, let me give a scenario, because this is what I have in my mind right now. I'm wondering if we have a person, well, a fictional person, right, who has this idea of somebody that they're attracted to, but they haven't acknowledged it yet. They know somebody, they think fondly of that person, but in their subconscious like, you got feelings for them. And in the day-to-day, they're like, I have feelings for that person. They're just really nice, sure. But they go night-night and some kind of warm, fuzzy feelings emerge. Some kind of emotions that have been growing are coming to the surface. And I almost feel like if our character connects this to maybe some other interesting signs and symbols that have been showing up in their life lately, they just might start to realize, and here we go, this is daylight now, right? We see daylight coming through the window. We see the candles burn down to kind of a little stubby now. I'm feeling like by the time our character wakes up in the morning, they're going to recognize what was coming through the dreamscape is indeed something that they've already known in the daylight hours, but they just didn't tie it all together yet. So what is this about? Because now we can see that we have a character who's just, they've been overlooking something that's been in plain sight all this time. We've got a Four of Swords, which is sideways. So it's something they haven't spoken about. It's something, because this can be silence. But what's great about this card is all too often we say, oh, it's about healing. But actually, it's a time where the universe says, shush, and just listen. There's information around you. It would be like, for me, I'm a hiker. So one of the things I learned to do when I was young, and I'm not saying anybody should do this, it's just something that worked for me, was if I hiked into an area, And I was like, okay, I'm going to go try this new trail. You know, I kind of know the general area, but this is going to be a new trail. If I felt like I wasn't sure, okay, which direction now do I go? You know, I've walked a couple miles in and let me pause. And sometimes I would like close my eyes and then stop just using my eyes, but I'd start listening. And it's like, okay, I know that, you know, the road I came in on is over there. It's off of a major highway and a side road. So let me listen. Where's the sound of traffic? And, you know, orient and like, okay, so highway that direction. Okay, I crossed that creek. Where's the sound of running water? Oh, I hear it over there. Okay, so now I'm more oriented. This is where I came in. This is where the water source is. You know, you start to notice things. Maybe, you know, you look up at the trees and you pay attention to, you know, what am I seeing around me? You know, what different landscape am I in? What elevation am I now at? You pay attention to the information that's all around you to maybe help you get your bearings again. And the only reason I'm saying this is because this card indicates sometimes that the universe is trying to tell a character, hey, shush and listen instead of talk. Pay attention to the information that is surrounding you right now, stuff you already know in the daylight hours, and absorb that. I'm feeling like we may have a character who unwittingly has healed from something. They may be over some kind of hurt or pain. They may have unwittingly developed feelings. We know there's feelings because of the water element. They have had feelings growing for someone or something. We don't know what yet, but the universe is telling this person through the dreamscape and then through the daylight hours, now pause. Don't just forget your dream, or don't just randomly keep moving on too fast. Pause, absorb other signs around you, symbols around you, and absorb what is the information around you, because there's something here giving you a sense of peace. What is that? Does our character wake up and feel really happy in the morning because they're realizing like, oh, there's this like little warm glow? You know, it feels good to recognize what our emotions are, especially when they're positive emotions. You know, it gets a little bit exciting. Then we move forward with action, is what the universe says. Eight of Wands. You know, the same thing, the analogy of me like standing in a forest and getting my bearings a little bit. And once I get my bearings, then I proceed. That is maybe the kind of message that we have here. Get your bearings and then move forward. Okay, so can we see what this message is coming in from the subconscious then? We have the Strength card upright. This Strength card, I always look at it as, you know, we have this feminine who is going to take care of her dragon, and her dragon's going to take care of her. And the Strength card can be about, you know, having the courage to stand beside somebody. This feels at minimum like there's an awareness that somebody has my back and I have theirs. That's a friend. I've dealt with somebody. I have emotions toward them where I feel like I could trust this person. I feel like they're inherently somebody that we're cut from the same cloth. I don't think they do me dirty. That is a wonderful understanding. And if that's what's trying to come through in the dreamscape, in the subconscious message, there is somebody out there that I think, you know what? I like them. I actually trust them. I feel like they're courageous. I feel like that's a person I'd stand beside and I could call them a friend at minimum. Let's put it that way. Now, this could still be, I've developed some feelings for them. Maybe I'm attracted to them. Maybe they're attracted to me and I've been ignoring the symbols. All of that is still yet to be seen. But at least for right now, we see that I think there's an acknowledgement that there is a bond. And sometimes this kind of thing happens, you know, when two people haven't yet really connected to each other. Like, let's say two people that are only professional. Let's say one person works at a restaurant and they're one of their patrons who comes in always sits in their section, and they've both become used to it. And it's like, now I'm realizing they're in my subconscious. They're not just here for the food. They don't talk much, but I know they like my presence. I know that we have a nice rapport. They feel welcome here. I feel comfortable. You know, I'm happy to see them. In fact, I'm realizing, even though we haven't said so many words about like, I'm coming in to, you know, enjoy your company, I'm still aware that this person who maybe doesn't show a lot of emotion to other people, because somebody could act more like a dragon. Okay. We may have a very formidable person. This could all be the dreamscape, the subconscious energy coming up for this feminine. This feminine is wearing white. She could be fairly like pure energy. like she's not somebody who, maybe this is why it's taken like the dreamscape to show her what's been in plain sight all this time, that this person who could be very formidable, this dragon-esque character. I mean, come on, dragons, yes, mythical creatures, but still, what do we know about them? They can be ferocious, they can be, breathing fire, they can be deadly, they can be intimidating, or they can be possibly, tamed if they choose to be. And I'm feeling like she's a little bit of what, Khaleesi, like dragon tamer or mother of dragons over here. But I'm thinking that we have a character that is recognizing first through the dreamscape, because she's having a dream about this person, and recognizing what was already there in plain clear day, which is there is a person seemingly formidable who actually, they like me and I like them. I'm not afraid of them, even if they're stern and they don't crack a smile very often. I like them and they like me. I think gathering that kind of information and absorbing it and just knowing what's, like a bond that's been a mutual respect, or a bond that's been growing all this time, acknowledging it for what it is like a big breakthrough for possibly this feminine. Wow. And maybe this is just her projecting, but it looks like she's picking up on the other subtle and unspoken energies that, I don't know if it was in a past lifetime that we might have been lovers, or if it's in the upcoming future lifetime that we're going to be lovers. I'm picturing, just with the progression of these cards, the universe is asking her to pay attention to what vibes are they giving off. I'm not even saying that this is like, ooh, they've been flirting with me and I've been ignoring it. This is more like that unspoken awareness that comes on after we've already been around somebody's company, but there's been no romance. It's only been professional, or it's this is not a road or a bridge that we've crossed yet with them, but there's a sudden knowing that this person and I, we're important. We very well, even though we have not been lovers in this lifetime, even though we have not even maybe been friends yet, there is a mutual understanding that this is someone I think is a good person. And in a flash, I'm realizing, I think on the horizon, we may know each other a heck of a lot better than just as friends. Like, it almost feels like that weird flash of, oh my God, I've known this all along, but I buried it in the subconscious until now. So we may have first the dreamscape, the subconscious, or maybe she's not even asleep. I mean, maybe she's just like doing some calm meditation, listening to some music. I'm picturing somebody like listening to, I don't know, Lou Reed or The Doors or something, kind of like just like, funky, like some long album that, you just kind of, and maybe also I'm hearing Bruce Springsteen in my head right now. He did this really great, like, oh God, I think it's like 9 or 16 minute long piece. Cause I drive all night just to buy you some shoes and to taste your tender charms. And I just want to lay tonight in your arms. I have it on record. It's really great. I think they played it in that film Copland with Sylvester Stallone. I think they played it in that film. Anyway, all I know is that's about the time that I found out about it, is when that film came out. So I link those two, even if I shouldn't. That's in my head right now. So I don't know if she's just kicking it, listening to music, and not really in a dreamscape, but somehow she's still connecting to the subconscious. And that's what's coming forward, is like this sudden awareness that somebody in my life is not merely furniture. They're not merely somebody that I bump into. They're not merely that person who comes into the place that I work at, or they're not merely my work colleague, or, someone that I have vague interaction with. They're somebody who's going to be way more important in my life. And I've known it from the beginning. I just didn't acknowledge it until now. That's how it feels. Like, this is what the moon is revealing, or the dreamscape, or, like I say, the subconscious, however we want to look at that. Maybe it's all one and the same, but it's like, wait a second, they're going to be my lover. And this Queen of Wands, I feel like she's going to be looking good. A Queen of Wands energy is our sexiest queen. This is somebody very empowered. This is somebody who, it's also like some kind of like lovely, warm energy where it's like, wait a second, they like me and I know it. And that's not me being egocentric. I know they like me. I know that we're headed for some kind of romance. oh, I like this. This is making me feel all kinds of attractive, sexy, sensual. Like I want to flirt with this person now. I've seen a glimpse into the future. How is she seeing this glimpse into the future? We see that she's basically picking up on what her subconscious has known all along. Okay, we have the devil sideways. She was afraid to acknowledge this. She was afraid, and maybe they have been too. Like, look, I'm the person who comes in, sits in her section, and every 2 nights a week I go into this restaurant and I like sitting in her section and I like conversing with her briefly. I don't want to jeopardize that by hitting on her or something, or looking like a creeper, whatever. He could have had fears, she could have fears. I'm only saying him and her because this is what we've got. But I don't think he talks a whole lot. I think he's kind of somebody. I think he's a catch. I think he's a great partner, but I think he's a little bit, I already said, like, formidable as that dragon, but he could also be kind of like somebody who keeps to himself quite a bit. But there's already a bond between the two of them. But I do feel like there's been this fear, like neither one really wanted to acknowledge what was obviously between them, because they didn't want to cross that road and maybe wreck the kind of friendship type bond that was already there. But this whole reason that she might be getting this, we'll say, download or opening her mind to this right now could be possibly because he's manifesting, and we can manifest in a lot of different ways. All of this storyline, by the way, you notice it's all dealing with purely intangible, right? We're dealing with thoughts, with emotions, with sleepy time. We're dealing with, epiphanies. We're dealing with, wow, I realize they're attracted to me. I'm attracted to them. And somehow, some way, whether we're past life lovers or future lovers, I'm going to end up in his arms and he's ending up in mine. Like, all of this is stuff that hasn't happened yet. So this whole storyline is very much like we're floating up in the atmosphere, up in the air right now. Nothing is tangible, including the way a character has been manifesting. So we go to our masculine right now, and he has perhaps been, we'll say, instead of like having prophetic dreams about her, let's say he's having, we'll say, fantasy, but keep it clean, folks, keep it clean. I think he's been having like daydreams about her. The scenario I keep using of like they bump into each other or they barely engage with each other. They have not had an opportunity to even try like flirting yet, or it's all been in a professional setting, or they're neighbors who live across the way and it's like a nod, like, how you doing? Oh, saw you got a new car, congratulations. Oh, your fence looks good. But that is not all that's going on here. But nothing more than thoughts have been passed between them. But in this storyline, we'll say thoughts become things when you focus on it, he's realizing he's manifesting her. Okay. Even though I think he's been afraid to bring this to the surface. Now we see her having this pop up from the subconscious into the forefront of her mind in the daylight hours now. So we've got fantasy, we've got dreamscape, but we've also got them turning this into something more than imaginary. As I say that, we have a Four of Pentacles. He does not open up very well to anybody. In fact, I think he closed the door to his heart a long time ago and locked it up. And I think his heart is absolutely gorgeous, because if you look at this, it's like a whole palace with this gorgeous stained glass windows, gorgeous architecture, and we've got all these padlocks and chains. He has not opened up his heart to anybody in a very long time. He may not have opened up his mind and shared his thoughts with anybody in a long time, his innermost self. And if he's manifesting like, I would like to do that, I'm kind of rusty, I'm kind of scared to do that because I haven't done that in a long time, I'm wondering if he hasn't even talked to anybody in a long time. Ace of Swords. Swords are communication and thoughts and, obviously speaking and words. Ace of Swords is the truth. Ace of Swords is also how we cut through something, cut through lies, cut through confusion. Give me one more. He already knows. If there's one person on earth he'd like to open up to, it's her. So on his side, he is aware. By the way, he could kind of, I already referenced like, Game of Thrones in this. And here he is like kind of dressed in, wizard's costume. I don't know, maybe both of them like fantasy, sci-fi, that kind of genre as a whole, or, like Renaissance cosplay, whatever. But it's like, if there's been anybody that he's met that he would actually like to converse with, maybe open up his heart to, he already knows darn well that it's her. So he knows the same thing that she knows. We're seeing it in a slightly different context, right? He knows he's been fantasizing about talking, breaking his silence, communicating with somebody, and he knows it's going to be her. She's over here ignoring, up until now, the fact that she's known maybe from day one that this is somebody I got a vibe with. This is somebody that is going to be my lover. And now that I'm acknowledging it, I'm feeling sexy. I'm feeling like I like the way this thing's going. Like, I feel as if both of them are becoming aware. He's quite clear now with that 7 of Cups in the reverse. He doesn't doubt that this is like, we both know this is coming. We both know we're going to end up together. We both know we have a story that is going to, our dynamics are going to shift. And at some point we might not have clothes on while we're talking, like, I'm not saying they're leaping ahead into any of that. I think it's just that flicker that goes through their brains. And it's like, wait a second, this is a lot more, huh? We have more future together. We have something else together. In his mind, it's like, I'm going to be actually opening up my heart to her, my inner thoughts to her, sharing that. Out of everybody on earth, I already know it's going to be her. And she's realizing this is somebody who's going to pick me, and I'm going to pick them. That's a pretty beautiful thing to have come through on this full moon. 7 of Pentacles. This has been a long time coming already. And perhaps with that long time coming, perhaps it was because, look at how they've both kind of, like, with no pressure, they've both started to, like, absorb the energy that's around them and then connect to the subconscious. He's connecting to his ability to manifest. She's connecting to her subconscious. If these two had been, like, forced or pressured into this, it wouldn't have worked. If one had walked up to the other one right out at the gate, or, even like months ago or something, walked up and been like, hey, how's it going? You want to go out on a date? I think the other one would have run for the hills. Neither one of them could have had this relationship evolve in any way other than what we see slowly but surely budding. And I think it just has a lot to do with, again, the intangible aspect of this. I think that these two are very good at operating with the authentic aspect of life. And sometimes the most authentic aspect of life is the quiet part. It's like these two developed like a bond and started to gravitate toward each other without saying, I am dating you, I am attracted to you. They didn't do the, like, communication stuff didn't even get in the way. They started to gravitate at that more, like, maybe we could call it like that primitive or subconscious or spiritual side, however we want to use those terms. And they've been kind of like leaning in and merging into each other's energy flow, which I think is a more authentic bond to be forming. And then they're going to have to make it like, okay, now we got to talk about this. Now we also have to make it physical. But it definitely begins all in the 5D for them, which has been a really cool, like, I feel like we're peeling away like the layers here. So we have a 10 of Swords. Both of them have perhaps, I'm going to say, in the time frame that they've been slowly like melting toward each other, I think both of them have been fully, completely, and utterly releasing a very painful experience that they might have been troubled by for a very, very long time. We certainly see him, if not both of them. I'm wondering if, just because these two seem to be on such a parallel with each other, I could picture them both having been through, sometimes we know when we get wounded, right? And we say, yeah, that hurt. But, that was in the past. But sometimes we don't realize that there's like some little corner of our heart that got like really, or maybe a corner of our mind that got really tangled up or twisted up. And we got to get that final, like, think of a splinter, or like, I know a story of somebody once who was horsing around as like a teenager, and their friends, the two of them in play fighting, they smashed through like a plate glass window, and the window shattered, and they had a couple cuts, but nothing big. But for the next like 10 years, this person had pain in their hip. And what had actually happened is a little chunk of that glass got, just perfectly, the trajectory, the projectile of it just went like really deep in like the meaty part of the glute. And that had sat in there and nobody had noticed it. And it finally one day it had started to actually like work its way up, and then it got removed. But it was like for 10 years, it was like a pain in the butt. Sometimes we don't know when there's a little shard hidden somewhere. And I think that this slow, energetic bond that they've been healing is like pushing that little shard of glass up to the surface so that real healing and real full closure can have occurred. That's the moment that these two are both ready to recognize, like, you're really special to me. I didn't want to open up to anybody else. I've had this pain in my hip for a long time, but for some reason it's been working its way up to the surface, and it's actually gone now. I didn't even know I still had some shard of pain, but somehow knowing you without expectations, without romance being talked about, with nothing more than just this niceness. It's like they maybe restored faith in each other a little bit, because they both look like they're strong people, but they might both have been used to being strong and alone. And now it's like, I kind of think that maybe you're one of my kind, because I'd protect you and you'd protect me. Just knowing that subtly about somebody, but not acting on it, not turning it into like a romance or setting up this, idealistic, like, oh, you have to be my hero and I'm a damsel in distress, or I'm a wounded warrior and one or the other of us has to go fix each other. They didn't do that. Instead, it was more like, I think you're the kind who'd have my back and I would have yours. That's better, I think, than the over romanticized, like, I think you're wounded, let me heal you kind of vibe. Neither person wanted to like save each other. It's more like, I can already tell you're the type that would have my back. I think that's better than trying to save each other. Instead, it's like protect each other of future things, but not save each other from what we might have already gone through. You're strong, I'm strong. We can get through our own BS. We'll be just fine. But it turns out that kind of like restoring of faith, I think, has gone a long way for helping these two to build a bond, to start to feel safe, to gravitate toward each other. And simultaneously, it has like I said, worked that shard of glass right on out of somebody's heart or butt or whatever. I don't know how else to say that. Let me get just one more here. We have got the 7 of Wands. 7 is a divine number. 7 of Wands is how we overcome struggles. It's how we find solutions to struggles and problems. And I just think that this is a really powerful message, because it's not just hitting one person, it's hitting both of them on this full moon. And the realizations, nothing looks blocked anymore. Just like the 10 of Swords is the end of the painful cycle. And certainly we see these two like recognizing that I think I'm ready to think about you in a romantic way. We haven't talked yet, but there's nothing blocking all of these new thoughts flooding in. I kind of think two people are starting to get real aware. I'm hearing, is it Pitbull? I know you want me. I know you want me. You know I want you. Yeah, I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Yeah, I think. Sorry, now I want to do like, I'm picturing like people dancing a conga line. This is so perfect. This is where the universe says, aha, y'all got my messages. I've been trying to send you little messages through the dreamscape. I've been trying to send you little messages. I helped the two of you gravitate toward each other, but I knew not to force you to. This is the Hierophant card. So it's our connection to our higher selves. We see these two individuals sitting here in a classroom, and here's the universe standing here saying, I have orchestrated everything perfectly to give you opportunities to go at your own pace. You have learned lessons. You have both been basically in the same class of life. You've been learning similar lessons. And now here you are, shoulder to shoulder at the same level. You're both at the same frequency. You both have the same competencies. You have achieved the same lessons in life. And now turn to each other and This is a card of marriage, by the way, as well as a card of like belief systems and a connection to a higher self. So it's many things, but I particularly love this Hierophant simply because we literally get to see the universe, and the universe is so comforting here because he says, look, life is just a giant classroom. Him, her, whatever the universe is, right? But life is just a big old classroom. And if we can think of it that way, and that we're always learning, and sometimes we've got to retake a grade or whatever, it gets a lot less stressful, and maybe we would punish ourselves a lot less. But for this, the universe is like, both of you have graduated. You got this life lesson, and boy, the two of you could be really good together. I think it is so obvious to both of them what their higher self has been acknowledging from the very beginning, which is, I think you're my person. I think maybe I knew it from the gate, but I just didn't say it until now, or I couldn't acknowledge it until now because I wasn't ready to acknowledge it until now. The universe is like, yeah, that's right. Y'all were, doing your lessons, doing your classes. You couldn't do the romancy thing, not until now. But now's a good time to start thinking about this stuff. That is beautiful. All right, I love this one. I'm going to leave this one here. This was kind of an abstract one for a specific message at first, and then we kind of got into anytime. This is why it's hard to deal with like dreamscapey stuff, because it could go so many different ways, and there's like metaphors, or there's things that represent other things. But I think in the end, yeah, I liked this one a lot. You guys, thanks for being here. So great to see everybody. Donnie Ford, hi sweetie. Dana Knight, awesome to see you again. Mon, RS, Roxanne, wonderful to see you. Affirmed Alchemy, thanks for being here. Roxanne, I love that. We don't use the word crapola enough, do we? Sorry, I'm coughing at you. Big hugs to you on the busy Oregon coast. That's awesome. I love the ocean. Ginger Montague, thank you, love. So nice to see you. Kara Dog, thank you for being here, sweetie. Natalie D, how are you? Bradley Bear. That's awesome, Roxanne. Good for you. Speaking up, putting out your boundaries, and that's wonderful. Good for you. Kim Pruitt, hi. Dana, that's so nice. Both of your neighbors and you have a non-set agreement where we help each other out with shoveling snow or raking leaves. That's so sweet. Affirmed Alchemy, thank you. You're so kind. Thank you, hun. RS, hi. Night Owl Dragon Tarot Party. I love that. Sorry, guys. Frozen Explosion, hi. Nice to see you. That's a great name. Hi, sweet. Yes. Okay, so that was from Copland. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That was such a great song. I really liked that film, too. Hi, Nabila. Oh, good, Nabila. It's so funny. I thought of you. I almost said a shout out to you in the beginning of that Scorpio video. I said a shout out to EM in the Pisces. Some of you guys, I know which videos you wait for, and so if it pops into my head, I thought of you. I should have just said it out loud, because that's really nice to bump into you tonight here, and I'm glad you enjoyed the Scorpio. It's time. Hi, hun. Kara Dog, we are so happy that you're hanging out with us. Hi, Nani. Cherry Coleman, great to see you. Healing Under the Buck Moon. I love that, Cherry Coleman. Thanks again, RS. It's always so good to catch you. Just me. Hi. Supernova 333. It does, right? I couldn't believe, like, just even last night, there's, life gets really busy, but for some reason, everything just feels like calmer to me right now with this full moon. So, which is unusual when things get really busy. So it's nice, huh? Angel R, hi. Nope. Awesome to see you. Rare Lestrange, thank you for being here, beauty. Eliana, thank you, Ed. And Brittany, you were first in the house tonight. Thank you again, Ginger and Deep Blue Night Thoughts. And Rosie, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. You make my world better too. Hi, Lulu. All right, everybody, have a wonderful evening. On the other channel, at midnight, we'll have a today's topic video that pops out. And then at 5 a.m., we'll have kind of like a signs and symbols video on the other channel too. And then tomorrow is Friday. So I'll see you guys then. Courtney Jade, hey, beauty. So glad you're here. All right, everybody. Sweet dreams if this is where we part ways. Otherwise, I'll have those other pre-recorded videos that come out on the other channel. All right. Bye, guys.